why you think it's important to change maybe your environment sometimes.
Yeah. When you're making calls from, let's say, home, it's real easy to fix that toilet that's been leaking for a while, or stop and do this, or stop and do that. Go in and make lunch, and that turns into half an hour, 45 minutes. But if you go somewhere else, then you're there for a reason. And I don't know. I like to go to kind of high end resorts, chat up the manager, get a Wi-Fi login. Sometimes you have to pay a little bit. There's a big resort over here, the Phoenician, and I'll go in there and I'll pay $60 and get a login and use their resort. Walk around, go out to the pool for an hour, go into a conference room, sit in the lobby, different places, and uh, spend an hour in each place.
And so let's talk a little bit about freedom. And obviously, we've got Freedom X Academy, which is a place agents can go that are looking for training and all the things that you're talking about. But we have Freedom X, and that's really built around the idea of getting to a date, arriving at a destination, the X that provides you freedom to choose what you want to do, when you want to do it, with who you want to do it with. And so explain to me what X and freedom and that whole thing means to you.
Freedom X, having like you said, a date that you're gonna kind of get to that point, and I think you said one time X marks the spot, and so for me, it's kind of a given. Like I can choose to do what I want to do when I want to do it. So I chose to go to the resort the other day and sit down for 4 hours and make calls, and as a result, that's probably somewhere around $5 million in business. And that is the freedom of being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. You know, I talk to a lot of agents that they have to do something. Their real estate business is a job. They have to be there. And to me, I've never liked a job. That's why I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. And yeah, so the freedom is the most important part.
What's required as an agent from an effort, maybe we might call it, perspective, to get to a point in their career where there's free? Because there's some things that you have to do that are required in order for you to get to that point in your career.
There are, but if you spend time putting together systems or using somebody else's system, if somebody has a system that's working, you don't have to go rebuild a new one. You can learn how to use theirs. But if you put together a system, when I first got into real estate in Arizona, I I actually moved to a new city when I got my real estate license. Moved to a completely different city, about 2.5 hours north of the Phoenix area. And I didn't know anybody there. I didn't know anything about the area, um, other than it was growing. And I went there and basically did some research. We put together our own system and we worked the system. Now, when I say work the system, it wasn't like we were uh, slaves to it. We figured out how to do things in a systematic way so that we could still enjoy life. But that system grew into a business that my wife and I did 120 sales a year, and that was comfortable. We didn't really want to do anymore, and we worked only with listing.
So for agents that are hesitant to sit down for 4 hours and make calls to their database, they're worried about whatever it is that they might be worried about, what would you say?
I would say the same thing I say to agents that tell me that open houses are a waste of time, or calling people is a waste of time. If you sit down and do it for 4 hours and you really put your all into it, you don't just go through the motions, you'll find out it's not a waste of time. And I could show you 100 different examples of how it's not a waste of time.
And so when I was talking about the price to be paid, that's really what I was thinking of, is there's certain activities that if you do them often enough, they'll get you to a point where you can choose what you want to do. Right? But if you try to skip or work around those there are no shortcuts the people still who aren't making calls to their database are doing some of the things that are low cost to no cost that can generate opportunity